Yes, we're going to talk about Jenna Ortega. She has been smeared as an anti-Semite.
Of course.
By a journalist who was surprised by that.
Well,
in
obviously.
an article titled Jenna Ortega versus Kanye, whose anti-Semitic hate is worse? You tell me. This same journalist in that article called her dangerous to the safety of Jewish people. And then in another article,
I love the hyperbole.
Called her a poster child for Hamas.
Oh.
And by now you're probably wondering, whatever did she do wrong?
What did she do,
tweeted
Mary?
some stuff. She tweeted some stuff that this journalist did not like.
Dare she?
Here is what she said. We must never give up on the people of Ukraine, Yemen, Palestine, Kashmir, Iraq, Syria. The list goes on, unfortunately. For anyone who's willing and wanting to contribute any way they can, I want to form a thread with information. And does anyone have resources or links they could add? And on that thread, she just, promoted some links to fundraisers that are toward, Ukraine, Iraq, Syria, all of these humanitarian causes. One of them was to a website called Decolonize Palestine. Here is what the article that is smearing her said. At first glance, it seemed in keeping with previous social media posts, she has championed the cause of Planned Parenthood, Ukrainians, women of Iran, and children in Iraq and Yemen. However, the Decolonize link was a list of, pay close attention, talking points in line with Hamas. Huge logical leap there, I'd like to point out. And then I think it's absolutely absurd to be comparing her to Ye as if they're competing to become the biggest anti-Semite in Hollywood or something. Like, I have mixed opinions of Ye, sure, but his comments and his rhetoric are obviously far more inflammatory and explicit than anything Jenna Ortega has posted. This was also all the way back in March.
They also talk about this, they say it's well-intentioned but bad, right? What they're saying is she's tweeting without thinking, right? She's not
Right.
she's not looking at the links.
She's a Zoomer actress.
Exactly.
I'm sure that she thinks, she's been told at least, that she needs to use her platform for good. She is not very informed. She's just naive. And I do think that as an actress, she shouldn't be inundating people on social media with all of her political opinions, regardless of what they are, because I find that behavior weird and irritating.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? She's 20 years old and she was just posting the things that people were suggesting to her.
So there's this weird trend among people, I would say, that are under 25, and it's total support for Palestine. Palestine is viewed as this country that's just been crapped on for centuries, and they need to be free, they need to be independent, uninformed maybe, but it is just a trend amongst the Zoomer generation.
It is very new,
and
it feels very new to me.
This journalist knows exactly. I don't know if it's a guy,
yes,
a girl.
His name
this
is
guy
Daniel
knows
Margolis.
He is very smart, right? Because he knows this is an inflammatory headline that's going to get clicks.
Yep.
Kanye's huge. Jenna Ortega
he's
is on top of the freaking world with Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that this is he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
If he wanted to be more genuine, he could talk about.
It's intellectually dishonest what he's doing.
Yeah. And if he wanted to be more genuine, he could talk about that phenomenon, that what's up with the West and young people ignoring Israel's issues and only focusing on Palestine's issues, right? And be that'd be a good read. That would be genuine. Explore that, because that is happening. Not focusing on Jenna Ortega's silly little tweets. But he knows what he's doing, and it's getting clicks.
Yeah, it's getting clicks, but thankfully most of the people that are seeing this headline are seeing right through it, that it's not genuine. One person said, I read the headline at first and got worried that Jenna Ortega had said something horrible, but nope. The word implicitly is doing a lot of work here.
Yeah.
It's just that abuse of language to defame people. I think this is cut and dry defamation at this point. If Johnny Depp has grounds to sue Amber Heard for defamation, I can't think of a way that this wouldn't be a slam dunk for Jenna Ortega if she cared enough.
I know this.
He's literally calling her a danger to the safety
Yeah, but he's
of
not
Jewish
saying,
people.
But he's not saying that she said anything. He said this is why she is a danger. It's an opinion. I don't think it's defamation.
My favorite part of the Israel-Palestine issue is that whenever it comes up, I get to just kick back and say, I don't know crap about it. I mean, I do, but it's like I only know enough to know that I don't know enough. And that, like, I know that America is extremely, like, I watch old TV shows. If you, my favorite thing, somebody earlier in the chat mentioned the show 24. I love, 2004 era network television with anything government, because it's the most neocon of neocon ages. And it's like 24, it's like, we're going after the terrorists. And, NCIS was super, let's talk pro-Israel. We're working with Mossad and all these things.
What was the one with, where the Capitol building blew up?
Designated survivor. It's just I know enough to know that I don't know enough about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and I know that it's not my business.
Yeah, but of course, if you're in the shoes of Jenna Ortega,
she's been told it has to be her business.
She's been told not only is it your moral duty to post these political causes on social media, but also it's going to be lucrative for you because you're making a name for yourself as a humanitarian activist as well as an entertainer.
Are any of these actors going to push back and be like, I demand to not be a humanitarian? I just want to be a selfish actor.
As you say, please be actively anti-activist and people will like you a hell of a lot more. But I understand why someone at her age would not understand that yet and the nefarious reasons that she's being encouraged to post things like this. I think it's annoying whenever celebrities try to force their political beliefs down people's throats, whether they're right-wing, left-wing, somewhere in between, somewhere entirely other than that. You're here to entertain people, not to inform us about geopolitics. Yep. When people, for instance, when we criticize the celebrities being extremely vocal about the Roe v. Wade incident, it got overturned earlier in 2022. We weren't point by point going through their tweets and doing rebuttals to all of the points they were making. What we were doing is making fun of them for distracting from the merits of their work to get cheap attention online to virtue signal.
See, but that doesn't bother me because, even though they're famous and they're people and people have takes on different things. What really bugs me are the people who expect them to do it, right? Yeah. Like the mob, the online internet mob who are like,
why aren't you talking about this?
You have 50,000 followers. Why aren't you doing anything?
Use your platform for good.
Instead of telling other people what they should be using their platform to promote, how about you grow a platform for yourself and stop complaining?
Exactly.
That's what I always think.
Exactly.
But they're not capable of doing that because they can only destroy and deride and denigrate people, and they never create anything new. They never do anything good for others. Well, they only tell other people to do it for them.
Were you here the other night when Kaya, I think that's how you say her name,
Libs of TikTok
was here?
Yeah.
Well, she told her story and how the account got started. And she's like, I just was complaining about the stuff I saw. Then it started gaining steam. It started gaining traction. She didn't go to any popular influencer and be like, you need to repost these TikToks, right? You need to use your platform to expose what they're doing to children and this craziness. Yeah. No, she's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a Twitter account and I'm going to expose this craziness on TikTok. Yeah. As a perfect example.
You only have your own voice.
Now she's wildly successful, right? And it goes to show that if you truly work hard for yourself, you can succeed.
Even this headline is just so over the top. Whose hate is worse? And then they show this picture of this just child looking person.
Literal 16-year-old
child.
Kid.
This kid does not know how to hate yet. She has not been alive long enough to be that hateful.
And it's a misleading title, knowingly doing this to assassinate her character, when later in the article you see him admit that this is likely out of ignorance and not malice.
Yeah, he says.
Why are you saying she has anti-Semitic hate, and then later in the article outwardly saying that she doesn't?
Yep. You're
trying to assassinate her character and get her angry fans to pay attention to your article and click on it.
Which is worse too, because it's very purposeful and it's very pointed and it's very, very intelligently done, just in a way that's I hate it. I hate having to see the intersection of these issues with actors, but the actors do it to themselves. She could just not talk about it. She could.
Or just quietly donate.
Or like,
but it has to create a Twitter thread.
Yeah, like, look, people are addicted to the likes and the retweets. They think that says something about who they are. It does not. Like, it means nothing. And it's like one of these things is like, do you ever feel like for me, I have a hard time, like when I said earlier, I said, look, I know enough about Israel-Palestine to know that I don't know enough about Israel-Palestine to give a strong opinion one way or the other. To even have a take, right? I think there's power in that. I think but there is no power for them because the people that they're courting don't appreciate nuance and they don't appreciate humility. They appreciate bending the knee to their will and promoting the ideas that they want to promote. And it's of her generation, right? Have you ever seen that meme? It says like Israel-Palestine war for thousands of years, and it says like 21-year-old girls in college. Can't we all just get along? Like, it's like,
well, if no one thought of that before.
21-year-old white girls in America. Can't we all just get along? Like, blew my mind.
Great idea.
Someone in the chat said Jenna Ortega is going to go on InfoWars.
Dude, like, put on the GIMP mask.
Yeah, just like, yay. She's following in her idol's footsteps.
Funny.
No, let's compare this to like our conversations about the Balenciaga scandal, right? Because I went really hard on Kim Kardashian when she obfuscated responsibility for speaking up on the situation.
Yep.
I believe it's inherently different. She benefited directly from a business relationship with this brand. The brand does something that scandalizes and offends people for a valid reason for once.
Yeah.
The active sexualization of children
and the subliminal,
and covering it up and lying
and
about
the subliminal promotion of it
Yeah.
that was far too intentional to be anything other than something on purpose
Right.
to push along an agenda
whether
slowly.
whether it's factual or not, public perception is such that now people link you with this scandal, whether you had any hand in it or not. We are fully aware Kim Kardashian had no creative input or involvement with the campaigns that were being pointed out during that scandal, obviously. But public perception, Kim Kardashian is an expert in it. She should know you're linked to this company that has now humiliated itself on the world stage by disguising
Do you think
child exploitation as art.
Do you think
you
they've been
need to speak
humiliated?
up on it and not just post a picture of your ass on Instagram and ignore the problem?
I don't know. Like, I ask, do you think they've been humiliated? Not because I don't think it's true, but because normal people don't know this stuff is going on. Like, I feel like the average person doesn't know that anything happened with Balenciaga. I saw a bunch of pictures over the weekend, especially in Europe. They didn't like
the normal person can't afford Balenciaga.
But
you know?
it doesn't matter. Like,
Does their target demographic even care?
That's what I'm saying. The rich
Probably
people
not.
do not care,
Like,
and the normies can't afford the brand. Some have not even heard.
Well,
about
except
it.
for Brittany Aldean. We
Yes.
saw her taking her Balenciaga out to the trash.
Performed. I'm picturing her throwing away some Yeezys too, like some really ugly like Yeezy slippers that she's throwing away. But it's like what's that commercial, or like Lamborghini had like a phrase where they would say, "Why don't you ever see Lamborghini commercials?" Because people that can afford Lamborghinis don't watch TV.
That's awesome.
Like
Good.
like you don't have to, like Balenciaga's advertised. Why doesn't Balenciaga care? Because the people that are buying their stuff are.
I mean, you know what else successful self-made
touch with
people
reality.
don't do? They don't write hit piece articles about celebrities for not having the correct opinions on their favorite pet issue.
It also annoys me because we most of the time go out of our way to try to have nuanced takes on all these issues. Like, we'll cover stuff that actively feels like there isn't like necessarily a right or a wrong answer because the issues are so muddled and so confusing, and there's two sides to every story. And on most of the cases, there's a very clear path forward with hyperbole that will get you a lot more favor with a lot more people, but I just can't bring myself to do that. Like, I mean, I have my things that I feel strongly about, but in general, it's like I have a hard time saying like, oh, look at this thing this person said, but then you read farther down, they say, but they also said this. And a lot of people will leave out they also said this down here part. People love to leave out context.
Yeah.
The Balenciaga one is one that doesn't really have context. That's just bad. And
I mean, there is context, but the surface level is just as bad
But
as when you dig deeper.
in the Jenna Ortega ones, like, it's very clearly a manipulation of information to make a specific person look more than just a dumb 20-year-old with a large platform.
I think that Jenna Ortega, as a young rising star, is going to like learn more of the ropes about how the media will manipulate your public comments.
You're not safe.
Like, I of course like remember the red carpet appearance she had where she is asked, you know, how does it feel to be one of the first female Latina leads in the horror genre or something like that. And of course she has the obligatory response of like, you know, it feels great to represent people like me because when I was younger, I didn't grow up seeing myself represented on screen and et cetera, et cetera. Like
Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez,
had to say
Selena.
Like endless examples.
I like
but
to
it
do
doesn't
that.
matter. Like the reality doesn't matter. You have to take the media approved stance on it in order to get your career boosted, and it's really slimy.
It really doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter. Like,
They ask these leading questions,
Yes.
and then you read the headline, and you're like, man, Jenna Ortega is like kind of woke and annoying, huh?
Are there examples of someone who just completely shuts that down? Because I don't know if there's any young and up and coming actors that get questions like that. And they're like, I'm not doing this.
There was an interview, and I think she's kind of gone back to the contrary, where they asked Gal Gadot, where she's like, how do you feel about Wonder Woman being such an inspiration to young girls? And she goes, well, it's not just about inspiring young girls. We need to inspire young boys too. Like she kind of middle grounded that, and or think Henry Cavill when they're like, what do you think about toxic fans, huh, Henry? And he's like, well, I don't think they're toxic. I think that they're passionate.
Or they're like, so what do you think of Me Too?
Like,
What are you supposed to say
As
other
if
than
there's an answer.
Me Too
These
equals
actors-
good?
Yeah.
Like
these entertainers and actors are giving too much. They're treating journalists with kid gloves, and I don't understand why.
Or it's vice versa.
That journalist has come to talk to you. You are the what's popular right now.
Right.
Don't even give them the time
Who
of
has
day.
leverage in that
Like,
combo.
don't give them the middle ground vanilla answer. Just be like, dude, shut up. I'm not. Who was it that I think it might have been a fake interview, but wasn't it Jonah Hill that just straight up walked out of an interview because he didn't like the questions he was being asked?
I mean, there's more
I
than a
don't
couple of
know.
actors who have done that.
But he was just like, anyway, I think people, because, you know, in your daily life, if someone asks you a stupid, annoying question, especially a leading question, you're not going to take it. You're going to walk away and be like, what are you doing?
I mean, more often these days, I feel like the journalist class is treating the celebrities with kid gloves.
Oh, yeah.
They're
use-
using their
Yep.
questions to flatter them as much as possible when even 10, 15 years ago, that was not the case.
They want
It feels like they're
access.
teamed up against us.
Yep.
Actually.
They want the media wants access, and they view themselves the same way the celebrities do as the tastemakers in the industry, full of plebs. We're the plebs who just whatever crap they feed us, you're supposed to smile, take it, and ask for more. It would be hilarious for like a celebrity to just be super base and be like, yeah, I don't give a crap if people look like me. Like, I actually liked seeing people that didn't look like me. Like, I think about that too, because it's like, who's like, I think of athletes that I loved, celebrities like movie stars, things that I liked, and it never really mattered. Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite athlete of all time. I certainly did not look like Ken Griffey Jr. I mentioned Idris Elba being, I was like, The Wire is one of my favorite shows of all time. I don't look much like, I look a lot more like Dominic than the guy who plays the cop, than Idris Elba. And I love Idris Elba. That was Michael B. Jordan's like breakout. That was his first big role. And those are the roles that I remember from those. And those are the ones that speak to me. Has nothing to do with skin color, has everything to do with the content of the show that they were in.
Right, and that's why I think we've gone backwards. And it's like,
Yep.
where now everything's hyper fixed. People are just so focused on the wrong things.
Yep. It's funny too, because it's just so like, you go back and you watch old shows and they were so much more naturally diverse, meaning that they looked like they were done in a way that where it was important, but they didn't care that much.
Well, you're not forced to feel some type of way about it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Like it's really funny. It's watch episodes of Dexter or old episodes of Burn Notice. The casting is in line with the demographics of the place you're living in, right? Miami has a different demographic than New York, which is a different demographic than the Midwest. One of my biggest pet peeves is still the way that they trivialize people's locations. Like, you see people in the Midwest and they're always bumbling idiots who are like, they're not just racist, they're ignorantly racist, meaning like they don't understand Like they couldn't possibly understand what you superior people in the big city know.
Enlightened Hollywood or New York City people.
And it's
the
like
urbanites.
And to be fair, like that's what they're going to keep doing with these movies. That's like, and then when you don't like it, when you don't like the new Little Mermaid movie because it sucks, you're a bad person.
You're the problem.
You're the problem.
Can't wait to review that one, by the way.
Has that come out yet?
No.
It's not out yet. And then we also have the Snow White reboot with Rachel Zegler, who is, in Brett's mind, interchangeable with Jenna Ortega.
No, not anymore. Now, like
she's differentiated herself sufficiently.
Jenna Ortega is now the superior Rachel
Scream 6
Zegler.
is gonna be interesting. You know?
I have to admit, I don't care about Scream in New York.
No.
Though, to be fair, the last time a horror movie went to New York that I liked, did anybody see the Jason Takes Manhattan? The scene where he's on the roof with the guy, and he's like, the guy's punching Jason like constantly for like Jason just stands there on a roof with this guy. The guy punches him for 2 minutes until the guy just his hands drop because he's so tired, and then Jason just hits him once and his head comes off and goes off the roof. Like that's what I think of. Like I love horror movies that stay with their environment. I don't think Scream needs to go to New York City.
Well, we're also going to watch Megan tomorrow. Excited for that.
Though there was a really great like promotional image of like Ghostface on a train that actually was just a great visual. But at the same time, I'm like, and nobody's like, why is there a guy in a Ghostface costume on the train? I asked.
Everyone's acting like it's normal.
Yeah, it's New York City.
Of course, there's a guy with a ghost mask. Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.